What is the most bullshit reason for a teacher to give you a bad grade? Wrote in Chicago format and lost points. The assignment instructions said to write in Chicago format. Edit. To anyone curious, I did try and point this out. Basically still lost points, but they upped the final grade. This reminds me of an assignment in which lost marks for not double spacing my work. I did double space my work because he didn't read my paper. It was a university class where a TA was responsible for grading the papers. He was clearly overwhelmed and just reading introductions and grading based on them alone. I had a 2-part introduction that fully addressed the prompt, but as he only read the first part, one got my paper back with a big C at the top. I ended up getting full credit after I challenged the initial grade. Glad you had a better result. My first large college paper for a pre-Civil War history class freshman year came back with a giant red D written on it with practically no feedback. I was in a writing program and I had always excelled at essays, so I was sort of shocked. Went to the professor and asked him about the grade and lack of instruction. He sighed, looked down and said, "Wet stuff. I don't like you." He went on and on after that with some bullshit reasons, but apparently the big issue came from the first week of class. He was talking about manifest destiny and said something like, "Now you have to remember, back in those days there were 50 to 100 miles between towns out in the western USA. And I raised my hand and said that there was still 50 to 100 miles between towns in the western US. He said I was exaggerating, and I told him I wasn't, because that's where I grew up. That paper was 40% of our grade. He refused to change the grade or even reread it. I scraped a C+ in that class, and I was so fucking proud of that grade, even though it was the worst grade I received in my life. At the end of the semester, I decided to ask him for his grading documentation to see if I could challenge the paper with the school, but he claimed he had already thrown it away. I found out later that was bullshit too, but I didn't press any further. A friend of mine got a -1 for scratching his head. Our teacher said he was faking it. I guess that teacher had too many bad experiences with women who faked head scratches. Staples were not in the right spot for my assay, even though I had them in the top left corner like always. That's when you know the teacher doesn't like you and is literally looking for petty reasons to take points off. 4th grade, the day before Thanksgiving break. There was no work to be done, of course, so we had a busy work art assignment. We were all handed graph paper and told to color each of the squares either yellow, orange, red, or brown. And once we finished, we were supposed to cut out corn shapes to make Indian corn decorations. I already thought this WAA stupid, and filling in all the squares was tedious, so I traced the corn shape on the graph paper and only filled in the squares that would end up as part of the final product. This meant my decorations looked the same as all the others, but I didn't waste time filling in squares that would just get cut away. When the teacher saw what I had done, she gave me a 50 for skipping work. We had a similar busy work assignment in a German course I was in when a substitute teacher was there who couldn't speak German. We got to watch a German game show that was basically all trivia and a sheet that just asked the same questions as the game show, which obviously showed the correct answer afterwards. So a lot of us smart people thought, fuck it, I'll watch at 2x speed, or jump around the video to the points where it's asked and answered, and ignore all the filler. Sub was very unhappy that we were doing the work efficiently, just because the point of it was to get exposure to the language. I get that, lady, but we are still doing the assignment, and the instructions were for us to work on other running assignments for that course afterwards anyways. Either way, I'm thinking German the same amount of time.